Hey everyone, Nat Amoore here, kids author of books such as Secrets of a Schoolyard Millionaire, The Power of Positive Pranking, and just recently released, The Right Way to Rock. So I'm really excited to have a little read-along session with you today, and I've decided that I'm going to read a little bit from this book, my second book, The Power of Positive Pranking. So this is a book about three kids who have an underground activist group, and they're trying to save the world and, protect the environment and all that kind of stuff. And then they find out that their mayor is up to some dodgy, shady business. And so they decide to take down the mayor using the power of positive pranking, which essentially means playing epic pranks for a good cause. So I'm going to read you the opening chapter. So if you've got your copy of The Power of Positive Pranking, get it out and we're going to have a little read along. So I'm going to read the opening chapter because it's got one of my favorite pranks in it. And it's a really epic way to start the book. So I hope you enjoy. Here we go. Green Peas Rule 1. The first rule of green peas is shh. I tried to hide my nerves as our sports teacher, Ms. Mezier, explains how cross-country day is going to work. And next Friday, years 5 and 6 will meet in their assigned groups on the bottom oval at... I hold my breath and close my eyes. Here it comes. Beep, 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 beep. Ms. Mezier stops for a moment and scans the school assembly. I keep my eyes fixed on the maths folder on my lap. That's only the first alarm clock. It's stuck to the bottom of a seat over near where year 3 sits. It's a little black clock with red numbers. The first few I set to go off are the quieter ones. They'll build up slowly with one going off every minute until the grand finale under Mrs. Kieran's butt. Ms. Mezier tries to ignore it, probably assuming some kid forgot to put their phone on silent, and continues with her weekly sports news. At the beginning of lunch, so that we can make sure... Beep, 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 beep. Ding, 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 ding. Some kids are starting to notice and look around. Teachers as well. I can't look too interested yet. The next one will go off under the seat just 2 rows in front of me. Then I can pay attention. For now, I focus on my maths folder. My name is spelt with stickers on the front, and I pick at the W. It was already partially coming off, and I keep picking until it breaks in half. So my name now reads Casey Vu instead of Casey Wu. Ms. Mezier is trying her best to stay on track. Make sure that everyone is checked off before we... Beep, 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 beep. Ding, 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 ding. Merp, merp, merp. That's the one. The one 2 rows in front of me under Emily Burge's seat. She jumps into the air a little, looking around her. This alarm clock's louder than the first 2. The kids near me start to giggle, teachers stand up. I can pay attention now without looking suspicious. Merp, merp, merp. It's a pretty horrible sound. I can't imagine anyone wanting to wake up to that. Everyone's paying attention now. Ms. Mezier has given up on her speech and is looking to the teachers on stage for help. A murmur spreads through the assembly. Heads turn left and right, confused. I join in, looking around. But I'm not confused. I know the next one will be in the year 5 section, and it'll be a good one. I spent a lot of time planning this event. I tested all the alarm clocks and put them in order from quietest and most subtle to loudest and most obnoxious. Obnoxious is a great word. It sounds like some kind of disease and it has an X in it. X words always sound like they're attacking something. I sat in assembly for weeks, secretly mapping out the chairs in my notebook and marking where everybody sits. Then I plotted where each alarm clock would go. I did test runs at home, syncing the clocks and setting them a minute apart. I laid them out in order on my bedroom floor, listened to them go off and adjusted everything for the right effect. All with Grandpa downstairs, happily watching his show with closed captions on. No idea what I was up to just above him. It's one of the upsides to Grandpa being deaf. Alarm clock testing doesn't bother him at all. Zeke grins at me from the row in front, but I glare back. It's one of the Green Peas rules. No acknowledgement of other members during an event. We moved it down the list, number 32 from memory, but that doesn't make it any less important. But Zeke can't help himself. He's just so... Zeke. I look at my watch. Here we go. Beep, 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 beep. Ding, 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 ding. Merp, merp, merp. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey! I try my best not to smile as I think of the little Santa alarm clock gaffer taped to the bottom of a Year 5er's chair. I had to tape Santa around his stomach because his arms and legs move back and forth like he's making a snow angel when the alarm goes off. Tess Heckleston catches my eye and gives me a wink. She's kept a pretty low profile since she got busted with that money thing a couple of months ago, but I should thank her for funding this event before she became as broke as the rest of us. The assembly's in full chaos now. Kids are laughing and teachers are trying to calm everybody down, but it's not working at all. I knew it would go like this. That's why, after the Santa alarm clock, I set them all 30 seconds apart. Beep, 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 beep. Ding, 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 ding. Merp, merp, merp. Dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh. Buzz, 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 buzz. Dring, dring. Dring, dring. It's 8:40 a.m. on WBS 107.2 FM. It's another beautiful day in Waterson. Rock, 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 rock. Dring, dring. Full pandemonium has set in now. I love the word pandemonium. It sounds like what it is. I love words that do that. As I look around me at the mess our school assembly has become, there could not be a better word than pandemonium. Kids are standing on chairs or looking under them. Everybody can hear the noise, but hardly anyone knows where it's coming from. The teachers are shouting now, trying to get us all under control and find the source of the alarms. It's not going to work. I placed the clocks away from the aisle seats where the teachers are, and the kids are enjoying this way too much to help the teachers locate my clocks. This act of defiance is nothing if not well thought out. I look at Mrs. Kieran. Her face is turning slightly red, maybe even a little purple. Her hands clutch the armrests of the big wooden chair that sits on stage, fingernails digging into the wood. She looks like a kettle heating up. I know what's coming next, and my guess is it will be just enough to make her boil over. I can see the back of Cookie's head from where I'm sitting. She doesn't turn around. She can follow the green peas rules way better than Zeke. But the tension in the back of her neck tells me she can't wait for the next bit either. I look at my watch. 8:44 a.m. Seconds to go. Beep, beep, beep. Ding, 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 ding. Merp, merp, merp. Over the hills we go, lapping all the way. Ho, ho, ho. Buzz, 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 buzz. Dring, dring. Dring, dring. Reaching 24 today with clear skies and no chance of brack, 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 brack. Dring, dring. And 3, 2, 1. The chicken alarm clock goes off under Mrs. Kieran's butt and the kettle boils over. She is fuming. I could almost see the steam coming out of her ears. The entire school stops and turns to face the principal. Mrs. Kieran leaps up like she's just laid an egg and the school erupts in laughter. She reaches under her chair and rips off the chicken alarm clock covered in gaffer tape. The plastic chicken in her hand flaps its wings. With that, timed as perfectly as I'd hoped, a banner drops from the ceiling of the school hall. Wake up! Dinosaurs thought they had time too. Save our planet now. I smile proudly. It's fine to do that now. My grin will be lost in the craziness around me. None of the teachers suspect that the quiet kid with the maths folder is behind these elaborate protests, or, as Mrs. Kieran calls them, pranks. But I, Casey Wu, am not just a prankster. I am an activist. I may only be 11 years old, but I have a lot to say, and I will be heard, no matter how loud I have to be. Sometimes you need to take action to make a difference. Everyone can stand up in their own way. Every activist has their own superpower. And mine is pranking. I slide one of Mum's cards out of my folder. It seemed appropriate to bring this one with me today. Trixie Woo's thoughts on making a difference. You only get one life, Casey baby. Make it count. Make a difference, whatever you want that to be, big or small, to one person or to the whole world. Be the change you want to see. Find your strength and use it. Love, Mum. Green Peas Rule 2. It's not about the glory, it's about the message. I get a few low fives as I make my way back to class. Green Peas isn't a total secret at Watterson Primary, but kids here don't dob on each other. I mean, if someone is hurting another kid or bullying them or something, then there's no code. You absolutely go down for something like that. But when it comes to kids' business, we sort of look out for each other. I take my usual seat in Mr. Deary's class right between Zeke and Cookie. Cookie gives me a slight nod. She's so cool and super spy-like. Zeke's breaking the rules as usual. He's grinning from ear to ear and gives me a double thumbs up. I just ignore him. It's the approach I often take with Zeke. Mr. Deary stumbles in looking pretty frazzled. It took a long time for the teachers to get everybody under control, out of assembly and back to their classes. Mr. Deary used to teach Year 5, but everything got reshuffled when Mr. Bijak went on paternity leave. It was a good trade. Mr. Bijak smells like feet, but not just his feet smelled like feet. His suit smelled like used socks, his aftershave smelled like old leather, and his breath, well, you know the black stuff that builds up under the corners of your toenails? Mr. Bijak's breath smelled like he ate that for breakfast. Bleh. So Mr. Deary and his peppermint smell is definitely an upgrade. Okay kids, we're going to try and move on from this morning's little disruption, Mr. Deary says, rearranging his papers on the desk for the third time. Disruption. I like that. It's a much better word than prank. Well done, Mr. Deary. That's exactly what we're trying to do. Disrupt the way the world is going. I scribble the word disruption in my workbook. Mr. Deary finally finds the book he's looking for and waves it at the class. Can we all get our workbooks out? Turn to page 34 and we'll put this morning behind us and get on to some learning. A crackle in the speaker on the ceiling tells me Mrs. Kieran has other ideas. Students! Mrs. Kieran's voice screeches through the speaker. It's so loud and distorted that it sounds like she has the microphone shoved halfway down her throat. Today's display of anarchy will not be tolerated. I jot down the word anarchy on the corner of my workbook. I like the sound of that one too. Not the sound of it squawking through the speakers at me, care of Mrs. Kieran of course, but the sound of it as I roll it around in my head. I make note to look it up later. These pranks are no laughing matter, and the students behind them will be found, mark my word. You may think you're making some kind of statement, but this is not the way to make yourself heard. I disagree. No one listens to you when you're a kid, even when you have something really important to say. We tried to ask the supermarket at Watto Mall to stop using single-use plastic bags, but we couldn't even speak to anyone higher up than the half-asleep 17-year-old who ran the assistance counter, which, by the way, should definitely be renamed. The Green Peas events are my way, our way, of yelling so loud they can't ignore us. The screeching continues. I expect anyone who knows anything about this matter to report to my office and give themselves or the offending students up immediately. The speaker crackles once more and falls silent. Mr. Deary sighs. Does anyone want to come forward? Mr. Deary asks, looking around the classroom. The kids all look at each other. Zeke, Cookie and I join in. Nobody raises their hand. I love my school. Very well then, let's put the matter behind us and move on with our comprehension exercises. As Mr. Deary opens up his exercise book, Mac Cooper's hand shoots up. I hold my breath for a second. I don't know if Mac knows about us. He's a bit of a muso at school, plays guitar in a band, and has that special ability to look blasé about pretty much everything. Blasé basically means whatevs, but it sounds way more sophisticated, don't you think? It's one of my new favourite words. Anyway, Mac seems like a cool kid. I don't think he'd dob us in, but you never know. Mr. Deary looks up. Yes, Mac? Maybe instead of just ignoring the prank or trying to bust the kids who did it, we should talk about why it happened. Mac flips his hair away from his eyes and shrugs. Maybe Mac's not just a cool muso type after all. I'm impressed. I take back my label of blasé and make a note to find a more appropriate adjective for Mac. I turn to Mr. Deary, super keen to hear his answer. Okay, he says, closing the book in front of him. What do you want to talk about? Not sure, says Mac. But it's not just another prank, right? I mean, whoever's doing it is trying to get our attention to, think about our planet and how we're wrecking it. I mean, it's kind of scary for us kids with climate change and everything. Are we even going to have a planet to live on? My belly is doing flip-flops. This is exactly what I wanted. Mr. Bijak would have shut this conversation down by now, but Mr. Deary is different. He nods. You're right, Mac. I agree. It's scary. Does anyone else worry about this sort of thing? Every hand shoots up, including my own. All right, then, he says, let's talk about it. Comprehension can wait until after lunch. We all close our books. Mr. Deary rubs his forehead. Now, it's a pretty big subject. Does anyone have anywhere in particular they want to start? Every hand in the class shoots up again. Mr. Deary points to Isla. Let's start with you, Isla. She drops her hand. I think it's really hard to know what we should do about it. I mean, I don't really like being in big crowds at protests or public speaking, but I want to help too. Mr. Deary nods. I think the first thing we should talk about is how you can find your own way to take a stance for what you believe in. Some people do it through science or politics, others through protests or writing. Why don't we talk about some of the ways you can help? Any ideas? Hands go up again. I can't hide my grin. See, I knew kids have a lot to say. So that's the first little part of my book, The Power of Positive Pranking. It's a really adventurous, fun book with a lot of heart and a lot of really good messages about, finding your own voice and standing up for what you believe in. So I hope you enjoyed that read along, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the book. I hope you've got it so you can see what happens. Thank you so much for having me, and keep reading, keep writing too, because reading and writing helps your imagination grow, and that's one of the most important things in the world. So great talking to you. Have fun, kids, and bye!